We have a problem. Luffy's devil fruit is busted. A little too busted, to the point many people believe there's not that many characters out there that could fight against Luffy, and that he'll eventually stomp out the Admiral Kizaru, which I think is going a little too far. And on the other hand, many people believe Gear 5 is a little too goofy, where they can't take any fights in the future seriously. Although I don't agree with everything being said, I do think these are valid criticisms, and this is expected as Luffy has the devil fruit of a god. His devil fruit is considered legendary, to the point the Gorosei and the government were afraid of it awakening, calling it the most ridiculous power in the world, which is massive as there are devil fruits such as the earthquake fruit and darkness, light, magma, and ice that are out there in the world, yet this devil fruit in particular is the one that scares the government the most. So today I'd like to discuss this legendary devil fruit and why people think the way they do, and what makes it so legendary and powerful. So originally we thought Luffy had eaten the gum fruit, but apparently that fruit doesn't even exist, as it was never mentioned in the old devil fruit encyclopedia, which makes you wonder if there are other devil fruits the government have lied about. But in actuality, Luffy ate the human fruit mythical Model Sun God Nika. But this devil fruit is quite unique, as this only happens once the user awakens their devil fruit, and thus they change classes altogether, which is absolutely insane. In order to awaken, the mind and body must catch up to the devil fruit's power, but awakening is not simple, as it's been 800 years since the gum fruit was awakened. But the immense power that Luffy gains from this awakening is insane, bro. He can just manhandle Kaido and treat him like a toy or a skipping rope, and wash Lucci with little to no effort. I truly understand why the government were scared of this ability, because once it's awakened, it not only gains the properties of a Zoan, increased stamina, endurance, and strength, but also the properties of a Paramecia, where he can literally turn anything in his surrounding as well as people into rubber. And this also includes energy such as a lightning bolt, and that honestly right there lets you know that Luffy's a demon, because not only does he have future sight and advanced conqueror's haki, he has an awakening that allows him to turn into a giant and turn anything in his surrounding into rubber. Like, this guy's insane. Like, it's like fighting Tom and Jerry on steroids, which makes sense because Tom and Jerry was actually the inspiration for Gear 5, if you didn't know. I do want to quickly mention how this form looks almost identical to that of the Sulong for the Minks, or the steroid pills on Fishman Island. Obviously that's not a coincidence, but there's not much to speculate there. I just found it very interesting. It was also said that the more Luffy smiles and laughs, the stronger his Gear 5 is, which makes sense as Sun God Nika was quite literally a god that brought smile and joy wherever he was. There are no limits to what Luffy can do, as he can turn anything into a weapon, or even defensively as well, as he turned the ground into rubber and used it to reflect the Boro breath back at Kaido. He can create a fist the size of Onigashima, which is larger than most islands. He can also turn into a giant at will that dwarfs Kaido in his dragon form. Luffy is quite literally using the power of Toon Force at his disposal, and could disorient his opponents very quickly if they're not kept aware, as he can turn not just his environments but the people he touches into rubber as well. Watching Luffy fight is like watching a Looney Tunes character. Even Kaido admits that Luffy's fighting like something straight out of a comic book. More accurately, Gear 5 is more similar to that of Jim Carrey's The Mask, which would make a lot of sense, as Oda, I think, is a big fan of Jim Carrey. If you didn't know, Frankie is based off of Jim Carrey's Ace Ventura. If you've watched the movie The Mask, then you understand the reference I'm talking about, the zaniness of his powers and the ludicrous abilities he was able to do and conjure things out of thin air, which Luffy was able to do as well, as he literally created goggles out of a piece of his hair, which is absolutely insane and has so much implications you guys have no idea. And based on the description of the government calling this ability the most ridiculous power in the world, and in the One Piece Road to Laugh Tale that was released by Oda and his editors, it was stated that Luffy believed that this power was the peak of his abilities, and allows him to turn imagination into reality. So based on all of these factors and what we saw with the goggles, this fruit could potentially be a reality warping ability, and that could make a lot of sense as, again, this devil fruit is that of a god, and honestly Oda could do whatever he wants when it comes to mythical devil fruits. And you just can't deny Luffy turning his hair into goggles. It's not like he scrunched it up and it morphed into goggles. It literally came off his head, went poof, and turned into goggles. Like, that's insane. And if that's true, then I understand why the government are afraid of this power and believe it's the most ridiculous one out there. Because if it's just his awakening where he can turn surroundings and other people into rubber, that's cool and all, but that's not like something you would be afraid of as compared to like the earthquake fruit where you can literally destroy the world, or the Yami Yami no Mi where you can shut off devil fruit abilities, you know? And mind you, Luffy just awakened his devil fruit, so he's only scratching the surface of its true potential. He doesn't even know the true name or power of his devil fruit. He still thinks it's the gum gum fruit, so eventually someone's gonna tell him the truth, and then he'll finally utilize the true potential of his power. And imagine Luffy starts adding Haki to it, similar to Gear 4. No one will stop Luffy. This man will literally need Jesus Christ to descend from the earth and be like, this is enough. This is getting ridiculous. And as someone who is a fan of comic books, I've stated many times that there are so many abilities that Luffy has yet to do with the powers of rubber, such as making his body parts into actual weapons like a hammer, or maybe even turning it into a gun like Katakuri and shooting like rubber bullets. I doubt that'll happen, but I definitely see Luffy morphing his hands into like different weapons like a sickle, a hammer, or something along those lines, as well as mimic others and make himself look like other people, as that's a pretty standard ability for rubber, or at least in comics, and Luffy does like to mimic other people, so that'd be great foreshadowing from Oda, I guess. Gear 5 is so powerful, he easily dispatched Lucci in the matter of minutes, not even taking the fight seriously, and this is the same character that was once equal in strength to Luffy and has just awakened his devil fruit as well. He took him out like it was a bitch for dinner on Valentine's Day. This shit was easy. This fruit had Lucci coming out of character. He was saying stuff I never thought would leave his mouth, where this guy was shocked at the power that Luffy had gained. It also allowed him to fight Kaido evenly, and that was quite a tremendous feat, as he literally turned into a giant and started doing jumping rope with Kaido in his dragon form, and that guy was bigger than a city. He can run in the air and leave fire marks, which makes no sense. Like, literally this fruit breaks all logic. But despite all of the things I've said, in that it can overwhelm one of the strongest characters in the entire series and take out Lucci in a matter of seconds, this fruit is not invincible. In fact, there is a big drawback, and that is Luffy gets extremely exhausted to the point he looks kind of old and that all of his energy is drained out. People forget that when he fought Kaido, he had to enter Gear 5 twice in order to defeat him. And after fighting Lucci, he got exhausted and tired out to the point he could barely move. This is a massive drawback, and it shows that Luffy can't stay in Gear 5 for that long. As he states, he goes all out when fighting, so that could make a lot of sense that he's using all of this energy. He's also still weak to slashes, and he did get burnt by Kaido's magma form, so it's not the end all be all. There's still weaknesses to this strong devil fruit, but without a doubt, this is definitely one of, if not the strongest devil fruits on the planet. Obviously, this does not mean anything when fighting Blackbeard, because he can literally touch Luffy and shut this shit down, but anyone else is gonna give a lot of problems. He could also have fire abilities as well. We've seen Luffy use them before, and it is called Sun God Nika, so it would make sense for him to have so, but as of right now, he hasn't done it, but in the future, it would make a lot of sense if he could. Luffy has just gotten so powerful, it's scary that he could easily destroy an island if he wanted to, as we literally see him create a fist larger than Onigashima, which is probably one of the craziest things that I've seen in this series by far. And he no longer fears an admiral, and remember, every admiral are at least an island level threat, so that should let you know just how confident in his skills Luffy has become, and why certain people think that when Kizaru makes it to Egghead, some people think he's gonna get washed by Luffy. I think they're going a little too far with thinking that, as I do think the full power of Kizaru is gonna blow minds and make people reconsider the whole power structure of One Piece. We also know Saturn, one of the Gorseis, heading to Egghead, and he's most likely very powerful himself, but There is a reason the Gorosei were extremely afraid of this devil fruit, and it shows. Luffy now is just in a whole different league. He's gotten so strong, it's almost unfair, but that's the best part about it. The fact that Luffy has come so far, and to see him get this strong is truly amazing. And truly does deserve the title of an emperor, and is well on his way to becoming one of, if not the strongest characters in all of One Piece. But that is the video. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of Luffy's devil fruit. Do you think his fights are a little too unserious? What do you expect him to do in the future? Delete your comment if you're down there saying, why didn't you talk about his hockey and he can see into the future, he can suck his own dick from the back, man, he's crazy. Like, no, we're just talking about his devil fruit. Please delete your comments. But that's all. We'll talk about other devil fruits in the future, like the Yami Yami no Mi or Law's devil fruit, because those are pretty busted. Let me know what type of devil fruits you guys would like me to talk about in the future as well, as these fruits have a lot of significance and history, so I'd like to talk about them in the future. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a good day and a good night. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.